technique which helps to break down the family unit and family-inculcated principles of religion, honor, patriotism, and sexual behavior. Is used by the Tavistock scientists as weapons of crowd control. The methods of Freudian psychotherapy induce permanent mental illness in those who undergo this treatment by destabilizing their character. The victim is then advised to establish new rituals of personal interaction, that is, to indulge in brief sexual encounters which actually set the participants adrift with no stable personal relationships in their lives, destroying their ability to establish or maintain a family. Tavistock Institute has developed such power in the U.S. that no one achieves prominence in any field unless he has been trained in behavioral science at Tavistock or one of its subsidiaries. Henry Kissinger, whose meteoric rise to power is otherwise inexplicable, was a German refugee and student of Sir John Rawlings Rees at SHAEF. Dr. Peter Bourne, a Tavistock Institute psychologist, picked Jimmy Carter for president of the U.S. solely because Carter had undergone an intensive brainwashing program administered by Admiral Hyman Rickover at Annapolis. The experiment in compulsory racial integration in the U.S. was organized by Ronald Lippert of the OSS and the American Jewish Congress, and director of child training at the Commission on Community Relations. The program was designed to break down the individual's sense of personal knowledge in his identity, his racial heritage. Through the Stanford Research Institute, Tavistock controls the National Education Association. The Institute of Social Research at the National Training Lab brainwashes the leading executives of business and government, such as the power of Tavistock, that our entire space program was scrapped for 9 years so that the Soviets could catch up. The hiatus was demanded in an article written by Dr. Anatol Rapoport, and was promptly granted by the government. To the complete mystification of everyone connected with NASA, another prominent Tavistock operation is the Wharton School of Finance, at the University of Pennsylvania. A single common denominator identifies the common Tavistock strategy: the use of drugs. The infamous MKUltra program of the CIA, in which unsuspecting CIA officials were given LSD, and their reactions studied like guinea pigs, resulted in several deaths. The U.S. government had to pay millions in damages to the families of the victims, but the culprits were never indicted. The program originated when Sandoz AG, a Swiss drug firm, owned by S.G. Warburg Co. of London, developed lysergic acid, LSD. Roosevelt's advisor, James Paul Warburg, son of Paul Warburg, who wrote the 1913 Federal Reserve Act, and nephew of Max Warburg, who had financed Hitler, set up the https://archive.is/csgs9 Institute for Policy Studies to promote the drug. The result was the LSD counterculture of the 1960s, the Student Revolution, which was financed by $25 million from the CIA. One part of MKUltra was the Human Ecology Fund. The CIA also paid Drive Herbert Kellman of Harvard to carry out further experiments on mind control. In the 1950s, the CIA financed extensive LSD experiments in Canada. Dr. D. Ewan Cameron, president of the Canadian Psychological Association, and director of Royal Victorian Hospital, Montreal, received large payments from the CIA to give 53 patients large doses of LSD and record their reactions. The patients were drugged into weeks of sleep and then given electric shock treatments. One victim, the wife of a member of the Canadian Parliament, is now suing the U.S. companies who provided the drug for the CIA. All the records of the CIA's drug testing program were ordered destroyed by the head of MKUltra. Because all efforts of the Tavistock Institute are directed toward producing cyclical collapse, the effect of the CIA programs are tragically apparent. R. Emmett Tyrrell, Jr., writing in the Washington Post August 20, 1984, cites the squalid consequences of the 60s radicals in SDS, Students for Democratic Society, as resulting in the growing rate of illegitimacy. petty lawlessness, drug addiction, welfare, VD, and mental illness. This is the legacy of the Warburgs and the CIA. Their principal agency, the Institute for Policy Studies, was funded by James Paul Warburg. Its co-founder was Marcus Raskin, protege of McGeorge Bundy, president of the Ford Foundation. Bundy had Raskin appointed to the post of President Kennedy's personal representative on the National Security Council, and in 1963 funded Students for Democratic Society, through which the CIA operated the drug culture. Today the Tavistock Institute operates a $6 billion a year network of foundations in the U.S., all of it funded by U.S. taxpayers' money. 10 major institutions are under its direct control, with 400 subsidiaries, and 3,000 other study groups and think tanks which originate many types of programs to increase the control of the world.